Venus did not have the best time in the sign of Aquarius in February. Now she finally separates from a square to Uranus and enters the sign of exaltation, Pisces, on Monday, March 11th. Here, the goddess of love will stay until April 5th, playing a major part in the upcoming eclipse season. She will be the ruler of the lunar eclipse in Libra, bringing important realizations, transformations, and soulful connections. Let's take a closer look and break it down for all 12 signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive readings. Thank you for being here. If you enjoy my content, you can support me by leaving a like or a comment, subscribing, and pressing the notification bell. All of that helps YouTube show my content to more people, encourages my channel to grow, so I really appreciate that. You also can say thank you by buying me a coffee. There's always that option there as well. Before we dive in, a couple of announcements. Since we are getting close to the eclipse season, now is the best time to book a reading with me, to check in, to see what's ahead for you, to ask any of your important questions. You can do that on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. On there, you can also find my creations that can help you enjoy life to the fullest, maximize the transits, and know what's coming up. For example, my 2024 Astrology Planner. It is currently discounted. 225 pages filled with important insights about astrology, about lunar phases, new moons, full moons. It even has important dates to make your romantic move, dates to be careful, dates to start a business, etc. So definitely check out my website. In the shop section of my website, you can also find my magical candles and oils. For example, Moon in Cancer 2 is the recent creation, and this one captures the powerful moon in the sign of rulership. While it's not opposing Capricorn Pluto because Pluto has moved on, it is decorated with the silver foil and it has the scent of moonflower nectar. Silver is the metal of the moon, moonflower is the flower of the moon. So it's as attuned to the moon as possible, and it can be a beautiful tool to calm yourself down, to soothe yourself, to help you go to sleep, to help you relax during the eclipse season, as well as this is the choice for anyone born with the moon in Scorpio or moon in Capricorn, because those are more difficult positions for the moon, and the moon in Cancer is actually the moon in its home sign. So she is a lot more relaxed, a lot more comfortable and chill. So check it out and consider booking a reading with me. So let's talk about Venus in Pisces, right? A beautiful, exalted, empowered Venus. Who's excited? I'm excited. So Venus has been in Aquarius in February and until March 11th. She has gone through a square to Uranus. There has been shakeups, disruptions, revolution, upheavals in relationships for some of us, myself included. Let me know if you are. If you made it through unscathed, then I'm happy for you. So finally, she completes that rough period and enters Pisces on March 11th. She will stay here until April 5th. And we love Venus and Pisces because Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. It's the sign of understanding. It's the sign of spiritual awareness, compassion. And so when Venus is placed in the sign of Pisces, she has to act in accord to the sign of Pisces. So our love becomes bigger. Our feelings become grander. We start caring not just for one another, but for the world at large, for the planet, for the birds, for the bees, etc. Venus is considered to be exalted in Pisces, and exaltation is the type of strength in astrology, and it is considered to be somehow blocked, but blocked to the way that makes the nature of the planet bigger, right? So Jupiter is the sign that like expands everything. So it's not Venus with maybe as much discernment as it would have in Taurus or even in Libra, but the more love you have, the better it is, right? So the blockage here is almost like expansive nature of Venus in Pisces. It is very creative. It's very talented. So you may experience a boost in terms of your inspiration and creativity. You may start writing more, you may start writing poetry. Everything feels a little bit more grandiose, right? Like your feelings feel bigger, they feel more important. You love love, not just romantic love, but you love connections between parents and their children, grandparents and their grandkids, couples, teachers and their students. You become like a lot more sensitive and driven to tears even potentially, but any kind of injustice. You're more compassionate, you're more forgiving. So once again, for anyone who has gone through struggles in relationships while Venus was in Aquarius, there is a chance for like reconciliation and coming together and forgiving one another. Because Venus in Aquarius is just a lot more like detached and rational and sort of, and when it was squaring Uranus, it's like cut and leave, and Mars was squaring Uranus at the same time. So I think now we're getting to soften, we're getting to be in the moment, be in the flow, be connected to yourself, to the world around you. And what a lovely energy, right? I'm speaking as Venus and Virgo, the sign opposite Venus and Pisces, the sign that really struggles with being in the moment and struggles relaxing fully. So when Venus is in Pisces, we all get a little bit of that kind of chill and happy energy. There is a lot of times in Pisces, there's a little bit of melancholy, right? There's a little bit of like longing for something, for the perfect love, a little bit of disappointment because love might not quite match up your expectations. If you're born with Venus in Pisces, please share your romantic stories, because I think in a way Venus and Virgo and Venus and Pisces have things in common because they're both interested in like helping and serving. And so a lot of times the discernment might be missing with Venus and Pisces. Like I said, you're very forgiving, very compassionate and understanding. So it becomes easier to let someone in who isn't good for you. It becomes easier to choose a partner who's a project and sort of allow yourself become a victim of a challenging relationship, or choosing a victim, right? So struggles here, definitely like poor boundaries, perhaps being too loving. I think Venus in Pisces can love you, them, somebody else. Is just like very much open when it comes to that. So boundaries and borders blur a little bit. And there might be that melancholy that can, of course, inspire you. So use it for inspiration, but watch out for it being too dark and depressing. And the last thing is like be careful being too generous with people who are not appreciative of you and people who are not understanding you. I love that Venus will be in Pisces during this eclipse season. The eclipse on the 25th of March is happening in Libra, the sign of relationships. Venus will be the ruler of this eclipse. So I feel like she will help us focus on building relationships and being more like understanding, compassionate, forgiving, even if you're applying that forgiveness towards yourself, right? It's easier to be understanding. When we had an eclipse in October, on October 14th, Venus was in Virgo. Let me check it real quick. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Venus was in Virgo. So that was a more difficult eclipse. Eclipses are unpredictable in nature, so don't quote me on that, but I do believe, my personal opinion is that this eclipse the first eclipse will be a little bit lighter because the ruler is Venus in Pisces. There is also might be a need to release something. So Venus in Pisces will encourage us to let go and let it be and sort of, accept of the way things are and know that you cannot change every single thing. So it will be very important. Some other aspects that Venus will be making is she's going to conjoin Saturn on March 21st, which is interesting because that is right around the eclipse, a little bit before the eclipse. So Venus conjoining Saturn on the 21st could be the time to commit to a relationship, to commit to working through issues, or to let a relationship go, separate. You may experience around this time a sense of loneliness, a sense of heavy pressures, a lot of responsibilities, maybe some kind of separation between you and your partner because they're far away, or because they're handling a lot of work and they're here, but they're kind of far apart. On March 24th, Venus will sextile Jupiter. So we're leading into the eclipse with Venus sextiling Jupiter, which is more optimistic, more cheerful energy. On the 28th of March, Venus will sextile Uranus, and that could offer an exciting, fresh perspective in your love life, in your creative life, in any kinds of relationships in your life. And it can also help you perhaps move through frustration with a bit more optimism and cheer. And then on the 3rd of April, Venus will conjoin Neptune, which is very dreamy and very romantic, really good for going on a date, really good for making art, for taking pictures, doing something creative. Very kind of loving, chill, beautiful energy. But of course, be mindful of overspending, being too generous, like I said, and kind of giving too much of yourself. So now let's take a look at the 12 rising signs. I recommend listening for your rising sign because that's the place that starts your chart, and then the transits are determined by that. You can also listen for your sun and moon. I know many people resonate with those the most. And please share with me what you're thinking. How are you feeling? Has Venus and Aquarius been rough for you? Are you hopeful about Venus and Pisces? I'm very curious. So if you are an Aries rising, Venus is about to go into your 12th house, which is your blind spot. It's the place of spirituality. It's the place of hidden, self-defeating tendencies, but also hidden talents and gifts. And it's interesting, right? Because she's in charge of the upcoming eclipse. So as she is traveling through your 12th house, you are cleaning things up. You're maybe ending some toxic relationships, maybe completing some chapters in your love life. You may be feeling more compassionate towards yourself and other people, which doesn't hurt when it comes to forgiving and closing a cycle. You may be discovering new passions, new interests, or you are sort of, pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to intuitive messages you're getting, the numbers you're seeing, because all of this could be calling you right now and giving you answers. Your imagination is likely to be more inspired. You may be more drawn to talk to therapists, talk to astrologers, talk to psychics. Just be mindful of a more challenging energy of the 12th house, and that is seeing someone and seeing their pain and then choosing to help them, because sometimes maybe they are not worth your help or they're not ready for your help, and you will sabotage yourself in the process. So definitely that kind of be aware of that. And let me know how this resonates. And if you'd like to book a reading, check out my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Next, we have Taurus rising, and Venus is entering your 11th house. And this is interesting with the upcoming eclipse in your 6th house of work, health, and service. So here you're looking at your dreams. 11th house represents your dreams that involve the collective, your dreams of a different role in the community, your dreams that involve social media. So you are opening yourself up to, I think, dreaming and thinking and feeling more. And the eclipse that's coming up in your 6th house is very much heralding change in your professional life. So I wonder if with Venus in your 11th house, you are questioning whether there's more to life, whether there's more to your job, whether you can be self-employed, whether you can do work that's creative, whether you can even align with people who are more like-minded, because 11th house also represents friendships. So it's a beautiful period to connect with spiritual people, to go out with your friends, to maybe take a class together, to share an interest with them, to tell them stories about something you love to do, to start projects with your friends, right? Starting a podcast or starting something creative that you are feeling passionate about is lovely at this time. If you'd like to know more, do not hesitate to book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Eclipse season is definitely the right time to do so. Next, we have Gemini rising, and Venus is entering your 10th house. And this is beautiful for your professional life. I know some of you have been struggling, feeling a little bit tired from the professional struggles with just Saturn being in your 10th house, right? There's like heavy, serious questions, professional karma, all of that stuff is coming up. So Venus entering the 10th house with the lunar eclipse coming up in your 5th house is all about creativity. It's all about play and joy and pleasure. How can you, if you have a job, how can you approach it from a playful, fun, exciting perspective? How can you inject some joy into your professional life, right? Like for some, it might be suggesting working outside of the office or taking a day off or implementing, I don't know, an hour-long naps once a week or something like that. There's like opportunities to be thinking of pleasure and inspiring change in the professional environment. Better relationships with bosses might be coming, including romantic relationships with people you work with, because Venus is always about love. It's a good time to explore your creative passions, to start a business that is more creative. Like I said, with that eclipse in the 5th house, I think you're definitely rethinking what pleasure is, and Venus in the 10th house brings a bit more inspiration, a bit more fresh energy, happiness, creativity, and joy into your professional relationships and professional pursuits. Let me know how this feels. Are you excited? And if you ever want to book a reading, check out my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. Eclipse season is the time to do it. Next, we have the lovely Cancer rising, and Venus is entering your 9th house with the upcoming eclipse ruled by her in your 4th house. So you are looking at pleasure around education, around travel, around writing, even some kind of legal matters resolving in your favor, because Venus is exalted and quite powerful to do her thing here. And with the lunar eclipse in the 4th house, I can see your living situation changing. So could you be possibly moving? Could you be possibly transforming familial relationships and maybe discovering something about yourself? Because like Venus in the 9th house could encourage you to dig deeper, to maybe, you know, study something, to like even understand your family history, to create like, what is it called? Like a giant map of your family, who's the parent to whom and children. Like, I can't remember what that is called. Please let me know if you do. But yeah, like you're sort of exploring new things, you are learning new things, you're rediscovering things, you are writing, you're taking educational action, and in the process, your living situation, even your sense of comfort and security will need to change, because you may need to step outside of your comfort zone, right? As a Cancer rising, you are quite comfort oriented. Maybe you don't see yourself like that, but I see you. But it's true, you know, Cancer is the sign of like nesting and being cozy and comfortable and secure. So there are probably things that you're quite set in your ways about. And so with the upcoming eclipse in your 4th house and home, family, living situation changing, and Venus in the 9th house, there's lots of opportunities to reinvent, to open yourself up, to try something new, and do not pass on those opportunities, because I think it could be quite fun. And if you'd like to work with me, book a reading at anastasiadoesastrology.com. As we are nearing the eclipse season, it's a really great time to get a professional astrologer like myself, take a look at your chart, and offer you some guidance. Next, we have Leo rising. If you are a Leo rising, Venus is entering your 8th house, and we have a lunar eclipse coming up in your 3rd house. So here you are looking at communication. The eclipse is going to be potentially changes that involve communication, business, your relationships with siblings, your everyday life. And Venus in the 8th, I think, is offering you resources. She could be really great in terms of your partner's finances improving, in terms of opportunities to come together with your partner, to start a business partnership, to turn a relationship into business partnership, to get a loan, to get a scholarship you need, even some kind of like a big tax refund, tax return. Yeah, tax return can be coming your way. So financially, there's like quite good karma. And I wonder, with the lunar eclipse in your 3rd house, if you are completing something and closing some kind of chapter that will then welcome like better financial situation, or if you are maybe transforming your everyday life because you're getting those better resources and they offer you opportunities. But yeah, like the eclipse we'll talk about when we talk about the eclipse in a little bit, but I think there is like important developments when it comes to talking about money, the resources you have, the opportunities you have, people in your life that are maybe in your corner and helping you. Venus in the 8th house could also be beautiful for healing, especially if it's like some outdated romantic trauma, learning to trust the partner, learning to be more open and forgiving. Let me know how this resonates, and if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com to find out what eclipse season and other upcoming transits have in store for you. Next, we have Virgo rising. So if you are a Virgo rising, this is really beautiful. Venus is entering your 7th house, and you are looking at a beautiful, compassionate, sensual, loving energy in your relationship sector. If you're single, beautiful time to go on a date, beautiful time to tell someone how you feel, to ask them out. If you're in a relationship, you may experience more attunement, alignment with your partner, more compassion, especially if they've been going through some kind of difficult period in life, with Saturn being in your 7th house. This Venus in Pisces will be the ruler of the upcoming lunar eclipse in your 2nd house. So you're looking at agreements you have with other people. You're looking at financial questions with other people. You're looking at partnerships. Venus can bring partnerships that maybe improve your financial situation. So I can also see this as an important business development, even some kind of contracts coming into your life that are supportive of your financial abundance. Because with North Node and Aries, there's like a lot of focus right now on your money and paying off any debts and building relationships that are kind of happier and more financially secure, and also relationships where you feel more valued. So Venus in the 7th house is quite powerful for that. And if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com to check in and find out what the eclipse season has in store for you. If you are a Libra rising, Venus is entering your 6th house, the place of work, health, diet, service to others, pets. So she has the power to make those matters easier. If you've been dreading going to the doctor, Venus in the 6th house may offer a happier doctor, like, or a good health situation. You know, it's likely that you will focus on your health more. Watch out for being a bit too lax with your health, because Venus in the 6th can also be like, oh, here's some cake, here is more pleasurable activities. You're doing laundry, okay, let's go get like coffee and have some cake. Clearly, I'm just all about cake. But yeah, like be careful of just being a little bit too relaxed with your boundaries around this time. The fact that Venus rules the upcoming eclipse in your 1st house is fascinating, because I think you are experiencing a major rebirth. And that rebirth involves your health, your routines, your diet, your relationship to exercise. So becoming a nutritionist is a possibility here, discovering a new workout routine and sort of sticking to it. Maybe you start lifting weights while you've never done that before. Professional changes is also likely. Venus in the 6th can offer you really nice connections at this time and can help you build relationships that are very professionally supportive and encouraging. Let me know how this resonates and book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com if you'd like help, if you want to know what the eclipse season has in store for you, or have any other important questions. You can book a natal reading to find out what your natal chart says. What are your gifts, talents, your karmic purpose, your karmic person and your karmic purpose are both can be shown in your natal chart. So looking forward to talking to some of you guys. Next, we have Scorpio rising. Venus is entering your 5th house. She rejoices in the 5th house and she's exalted here. So this is very potent time for pleasure, all kinds of pleasure. It could be, your sex life with your significant other, getting a boost. It could be your creative passions. You are taking up painting again. You're going out dancing. Fifth house is the place of children, making babies. So for those of you that are interested in becoming pregnant sometime soon, this is a very kind of powerful time for that. You know, there's a new moon on the 10th of March. It's all happening if you're looking for that. Fifth house could also represent your competitive edge and your passions and things that you're dedicating a lot of energy to. So for some, it could be their business. For others, it could be their website, their hobbies, etc. Venus will be ruling the upcoming lunar eclipse in your 12th house. So I feel like there is some kind of opportunity here to examine any fears, examine any doubts, release self-defeating tendencies, even examine your relationship to pleasure, right? Because Venus in the 5th house can reveal that there are certain habits you have that are not healthy, like drinking a bit too much or partying a bit too much, and maybe it's time to let those go. Let me know how this resonates, and if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. For the beautiful Sagittarius risings, Venus is traveling and entering your 4th house. So this is good karma when it comes to real estate, when it comes to home, family, and living situation. And this Venus will be in charge of the lunar eclipse coming up in your 11th house. And the lunar eclipse in the 11th house could suggest changes in friendships. It could suggest changes in your dreams, transformations around your social relationships and social engagements. And I wonder if Venus in the 4th could be a symbol of you moving, right? If you're moving, then of course your relationships and your friendships will change in the process. Maybe you are starting to prioritize being at home more, spending more time with your family. Maybe your overall sense of comfort and security is changing and you are discovering some kind of creative passion or a way to make money from home. Maybe you may be feeling more of a pull to go travel to see your family, or maybe feeling more nostalgic, sort of reminiscing on the past. And if you are dating someone right now, it is likely to be the person who you can meet them at like a house party, or you meet them through family. Maybe it's like a child of a friend of your family, or someone who comes from your hometown can become like more appealing, you know, like let's say you are Gemini rising with Sagittarius and you're a descendant and you always go for foreign people, while Venus, well, that's not, I guess, the best example. Let's say we're talking about Sagittarius risings, right? If you're a Sagittarius rising and Venus is placed in Leo in your chart in the 9th house and you always go for foreign people, with Venus transiting your 4th house, you may suddenly be like, oh, you know, we grew up together, he gets me, and like, you know, give people that are more close to you a chance. Let me know how this resonates, and if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. It's almost the eclipse season, so it's the time to ask your burning questions. Do not wait. If you are a Capricorn rising, Venus is entering your 3rd house and blessing all the matters connected to communication, writing, education, schedule, community, business. So it's interesting because she will be in charge of the eclipse, the lunar eclipse in your 10th house, right? So the lunar eclipse in the 10th suggests a professional transformation, professional release of sorts, ending, right? And with Venus being in the 3rd house, you are looking at your skills, you're looking at your talents, and maybe even your education, your knowledge, your interests, and you are trying to bring more pleasure into your everyday life. You're trying to take your knowledge and your interests and turn them into a business, turn them into a new career, turn them into something pleasurable and enjoyable. And you can find a lot of benefits right now coming through your siblings, through your neighbors, through your classmates, maybe even just by talking to them, you can feel more aligned. If you're dating, you may be dating a neighbor at this time. you are kind of exploring your neighborhood, you're going out with people who live close to you, and can overall find yourself in a position of like a peacemaker, a mediator, because other people might bring their problems your way. Let me know how this resonates, and if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Next, we have Aqua Rising with Venus entering your second house. So Aqua Risings have been talking a lot about financial restrictions, finances sort of feeling a little bit more serious, a little bit more limited right now with Saturn here. So good news, Venus coming here for a little bit under a month could be beneficial. She could definitely be a sign of some kind of bonus, a gift, support, right? Partners, money maybe, or other people kind of boosting you, helping you buy a ticket or treating you to something. So it's quite beneficial. There might also be questions of like, how can you make money through more creative pursuits, through maybe sales or beauty or fashion. Venus will be in charge of the upcoming lunar eclipse in your 9th house, which brings in the topics of education, travel, legal matters, and publishing, and you are completing something here, right? So if we're talking about a legal matter with Venus in the 2nd house, maybe you've been involved in something and you get the payment. You get like, the case is closed, here is your money. If we're talking about education, right, maybe you're done with education, you no longer have to pay for it, and your finances get a boost through that. Or you're done with education and you can finally find a job that will help you build solid financial foundation. So a lot of kind of deep questions around money and quite good vibes, I think, when it comes to resources. Let me know how this resonates, and if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. Eclipse season is a great time to check in and find out what's coming up for you. Last but not least, we have Pisces rising, and Venus is entering your 1st house. I love Venus in the 1st house. It's so beautiful. It is the time when you are at your most charming and attractive. You may experience a lot more compliments. You may experience a desire to reinvent yourself, to change your look, to transform your relationship to money. Perhaps the eclipse coming up, the lunar eclipse, is happening in your 8th house of debts, taxes, loans, and shared resources. So there might be some kind of financial change where you are starting to be better at spending money, or you're getting a chance to pay off a debt. You're maybe getting some kind of, if you're separating and let's say you're getting divorced, you're getting payment from your ex, or even just some kind of like better, I think, karma in relationships, being better at like communicating your needs and ending some kind of difficult cycle inspires a new beginning. Let's say if you end the relationship, you will have more freedom to maybe spend money on yourself, to update your look, to change your appearance. And if you are, with Venus in the 1st house, if you're single, this is a great time to attract somebody else, someone new. You may be getting more gifts from other people, more compliments from other people. It's a beautiful time to explore your creative talents, to, maybe start some kind of project, to start painting, to start dancing, to take a singing lesson, and even I think getting benefits through relationships with other people, like your partner being more generous towards you is likely, or your partner, your friend, your parent, anything like that being kind of helpful. Let me know how this resonates, and if you'd like to know more, book a reading with me at anastasiadoesastrology.com. We are getting really close to the eclipse season. It's a good time to check in and to see how the upcoming energy will affect you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting my channel, my work. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And if you have any feedback, I'm excited to hear. I always love getting your comments. You guys tend to be really, really nice. So thank you for that. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.